Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Italy Travel Podcast. I'm Darcy Melton.
And I'm Nathaniel Mellor.
And this week we are talking about some off-the-beaten-path spots in Capri.
I am very excited as we have just gotten back from a lovely day trip there.
It was really nice. It was hot, but nice. Very
if y'all
nice.
are in Italy now or anywhere in Europe, you might have found that it is scorching.
I hope wherever you are, you're staying cool and or warm if you're on the southern hemisphere, and safe. And before we get into talking about Capri, I want to thank everybody who has been following and leaving reviews. It helps us so much online in the algorithm, and it makes us feel really validated, and we appreciate you so much. And a huge thank you to Amanda and Brian and Ariel and Austin, our Rigatoni tier members on Patreon. If you want to be super cool and support us like they do, you can go over to Patreon or join the chat there for free. You can also check out articles by myself and Nathaniel on onlyabag.com and send us a comment there as well. Thank you all so much for all of your support.
Thank you all so much. So jumping into it, I guess. We want to jump straight into some off the beaten paths. Where would you like to start?
I think we should start with the Gardens of Augustus.
Beautiful. I love it.
So several of these places that I'm going to talk about today are on the south side of the island. And
Okay.
Capri, just as a note, it's a pretty big island, but what you're likely going to do is arrive at the Marina Grande by ferry or boat, any sort of boat. You have to use a boat to get there. And then you'll either take a taxi or walk or take the funicular up to the sort of center of town.
And I think, too, for those listening, when you say south side of Capri, a good mental way of thinking about it, or as a mental way that we think about it, because I am not very good with cardinal directions, is the sort of Naples-facing side or the open sea-facing side.
Exactly. So a lot of you will be coming from Naples, I imagine. So you'll arrive on the north side at the Marina Grande, and then the opposite side, the south side, it faces the sea and also the Marina Piccola.
And if I may interject one last thing, when the funicular brings you up or a taxi brings you up to the Piazza Umberto, which is, well, it's the funicular stop, it's the main piazza in the top of town, that is essentially the ridge of Naples, of Capri. So it's you either go down one side or go down the other side from there, while you can kind of walk along the ridge just for there's not much there. I mean, there's a bunch of shops, but most of the shopping or the things you're going to see are down one side or the other. Most of it tends to be down, as you mentioned, the south side or the open sea side. Down the north side or the Naples facing side tends to be some more residential things, houses and, short-term vacation rentals, things like that.
Yeah.
Falling down towards the Marina Grande.
Yeah, I feel like that's accurate. And the Gardens of Augustus are about an 8 to 10 minute walk from the center that Nathaniel's talking about, depending on how often you stop to look in shops.
Or sniff things.
Or sniff things, like flowers or
I was thinking perfumes.
perfume?
There's a lot of perfume shops, and there's always somebody handing like, here, sniff this. So I'm not going to be rude and say, no, thank you. I'll just be like, oh, thanks.
That's true. We're actually going to briefly talk about one little perfume shop in this episode. So there are lots of interesting shops, as we've mentioned before in a previous episode about Capri. There's all the fancy Chanel, Yves Saint Laurent, those things. There's also other not giant luxury brands. Lots of fun places to pop into. So this walk might take you a little bit longer if
It's
you pop
also
into those places.
predominantly downhill, I believe.
Yeah, I would say it's like flat-ish, downhill-ish.
Okay, because I know that goes down, and at a certain point, it either forks left or right, and if you go right to the gardens, that is flat, more or less. But going down there is downhill. I say that just for y'all who are wondering what it's like, how walkable is the 8 to 10 minute walk. It's fairly easy. Just keep in mind, the farther down you go, the more uphill you have to come back.
And I don't think there's any other way to get there other than by taking the paths. I don't think there is a local bus service that gets you over there. The paths are really walking size. As again, we mentioned in a previous episode, Capri does have tiny little buses that fit literally 2 passengers plus the driver, but I don't think that they go over here.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen them over there to be certain.
Do you want to should we do first impressions of the garden?
Sure. What is your first impressions?
I'm going to start with my single negative. It's not even a negative about the garden. I don't know why. I didn't do that much research on them before we visited. I just thought they would be bigger.
Yes.
It's not huge. It's not a huge area. And that is my only negative. It is absolutely beautiful. I just thought they would be a larger situation. I think because it's written botanical garden on some of the places that you read about it, I was imagining a large park,
Yes. Yes.
So it's kind of small. However, there were lots of places, little paths to walk around under some shade. There were more views there than I thought there would be. There's at least 2 terraces that you can see. So you look over the Faraglioni, the big rocks that jut out of the sea, on the left-hand side when you get to the top terrace, and then the Marina Piccola on the right-hand side. So the views were stunning.
Just spectacular,
and
honestly.
it was nice to sit. We took a moment to just sit because it was really hot under the shade, and it was really, really beautiful.
It is, and I will, like, adding on to that, because it's, I think, and you'll talk about the ticket price, it's €2 or €2.50 to
$2.50.
$2.50. It has like a price tag for something that arguably feels like a very small little public park in any other city, if
Totally.
that makes sense. Like, yes, there are nice views, but if this were in Rome, for example, this would be the sort of hidden secret place that you go for the beautiful view over
That is
over the-
likely free.
Yes, exactly. So I would agree, especially because while it is a botanical garden, or while it's listed as a botanical garden, there is nothing I mean, there are some botanicals for sure. A large majority of them are in pots, which I thought was interesting, not necessarily planted. Some were even in plastic pots, so it gave the impression that this isn't that old necessarily. They do have little identifying sticks on them, and of course the plastic pots might just be a way of in the summer potentially conserving water, so they don't so the ceramic doesn't draw out water. But it did feel a little bit like somebody later thought about the botanical aspect, but originally it was just a nice, because it's these beautiful trees. It has a statue, it has a little fountain, as you mentioned, 2 terraces. It is lovely, and you can feel like, oh, we're done. That was it. Okay.
That's a good way to think about it. Is it just a lovely little park that you also have to pay $2.50 to get into? The botanical aspect, there are flowers there,
Yes.
and they are lovely.
It's also, and I think going back to first impressions, I don't know why I got this impression, but there feels like there is a connection between the Carthusian perfumes and this garden. And I can't remember if it was signage, like, sort of hinting at this, or if it was like, we're right near the botanical gardens, or something in that vein. I also know, I think the Carthusian perfumes anyway mentioned botanical gardens somewhere, sort of like we talked about in the Florence episode, Off the Beaten Path, how there's an active botanical garden there, I think the oldest in Italy, one of the oldest in Europe, and how the Carthusian monastery there, I believe it's Carthusian, or is it just a regular?
I think they're
Or Dominican friars. Okay. And
with the oldest pharmacy in Europe or Italy.
I think
To
Italy.
re-listen to our own episode.
I know, that's crazy. Some of this sticks around, as you can tell, and some of this is just dropping away. But I know that they still make like the original recipes and things like that. And they have the botanical garden. I don't know if it's still necessarily in use, or if it just, they source it from somewhere else now. But I definitely thought that would be like this. And I think that was my other bit of surprise. I think for whatever reason, and I'm saying this for you, if you're all listening, in case you're in the same boat, if you're going like, oh, I heard that's how it works, and you get there and you're also making a sort of wild assumption, or you're also going like, wait and for me it was, wait a second, which one of these are like perfume things?
Well, there's a chairman, I think, a chairman of the board, something like that, of the Carthusia Perfume Company, who has a lovely little quote that I read today. I don't have it written down, but he's sort of waxing poetic about how when he was young, as a youth, you would go all hang out in this botanical garden, and it was magical and perfume smelling, because of all the botanicals, and it was just a lovely time. And I don't know if that gets mixed in because he owns the company, or because the Carthusia laboratory is really just across the street from there. I'm not sure.
And that was I guess this is all to say, if that is your own perception going forward into Capri, because I mean, from landing in Italy, you will probably see Carthusia somewhere, whether it's
Oh,
at
they're
the
everywhere.
airport or you're going into Milan, Rome, anywhere like that. There's stores. I mean, there are stores throughout Italy for Carthusia. And it makes it very clear, the perfume of Capri, perfume of Capri. There's photos, I believe, even photos of the gardens in some of their stores. So there's this sort of essence that like, oh, I'll see it. However, I believe they are related to the Carthusian monastery, the Certosa that is there, not, I guess, the gardens, which
That makes sense.
honestly, I was a little bit bummed. That would have been my first impression, is that like I was so excited to see this like really beautiful scented like botanical garden that was going to be just filled with, well, I guess perfumes to be potentially. And I was like, oh, and it was still absolutely lovely. It is just a little different than I thought.
I think you and I just had misinterpretations of what we were going to see. In any case, it was stunning. It's
Yes.
really beautiful. And I do highly recommend you go if you like gardens and if you want to see the view from up there. But we just had a misunderstanding of
Yes.
what we thought we were walking into. That's all.
It does have great views, though. For those of you kind of waffling back and forth, it's a very lovely walk, both towards it and then, like, I mean, in the sense of
Right.
it's just kind of shaded. It's got some vines. It's got some trees. It's a beautiful walk to it, and then it is a bit slightly cooler there than it is in the sun if you're going in the summer.
That was the spot in the day that I felt the most hot and also cool.
Yes.
Because the terraces are not covered by any shade, and we stood there looking at the view for a long time
Yes.
before I realized how hot I was getting. But then you can walk down under the shade, and it's quite nice.
So those are definitely worth the visit.
Yes. And before we move on, I want to give just a little bit of history. So of these gardens. So the gardens were originally called the Krupp Gardens because they were established by Friedrich. I'm just going to say it normally. Friedrich Alfred Krupp. He was a German industrialist, and he originally created them to be part of his mansion, as I think you mentioned briefly. And this was in the early 20th century. But after the First World War in 1918, the gardens were renamed and dedicated to the Roman Emperor Augustus, who, in fun little fact, in 29 BC, he purchased Capri from Naples.
Interesting.
So they were renamed for
Got
him.
a great deal, I think.
I know, right? So they were renamed for him, and it keeps the name today. That's why they're not the Krupp Gardens; they are the Gardens of Augustus.
Unlike the street next to it called Via Krupp, which is interesting.
Yes, exactly. That was not renamed. That maintained its name.
Very cool.
And because we mentioned briefly the Carthusia perfume, it's a laboratory, really. It's a shop. You can go in it. So just across the street, basically, from these gardens is the flagship laboratory of the Carthusia Perfume Company, and you can go in there totally free. It really, the whole part you go in functions, like I said, as a shop. You can smell a bunch of different perfumes. Outside is my favorite part, and they have this at a couple of their other locations, at least in Capri, is they have these little vessels outside along the gate with perfume in them, and you can just bend down and smell them out of the little vessels, and they have little names on them and everything of what perfume it is. It's quite fun. And obviously, if you're interested in purchasing the perfume, you can go up to the counter and they'll give you all these different options, and you can smell all the stuff behind the counter. It's really nice.
There's also plenty of testers along the walls if you decide
Yes,
to.
that's what I did because I did not want to commit to buying any perfume, so I just smelled the ones along the wall.
Yeah, I don't know how much perfume costs, but I imagine this feels somewhat in line for not high end, but high end.
If you listened to our previous episode on Florence and we talked about what are they called?
Yeah, the other pharmacy, the
The
Dominican
pharmacy.
Friar
Yes.
Pharmacy.
Where you can buy perfumes. Their perfumes, as I'm sure Carthusia has ones in the 200, 300 euro range. But I do think whenever we looked at Carthusia, there were little gifting options of little boxes. They also have soaps and things in the 20 euro range. They have things that are, I'm sure they have the whole range of eau de parfum and all those things.
I think their cheapest perfume is 80.
Okay.
And it is for a very small amount. For the more normal bottle you see is, I think, 100 and something.
Okay,
And then it's
that makes
300
sense.
for the normal bottle size. When I say normal bottle, I mean, what is it, like 30 milliliters, 300 milliliters, something?
Average perfume bottle size.
Yes, I think it's got to be 30 milliliters. 300 milliliters is an insane amount of perfume.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they do have little smaller soaps and things if you want a little thing to take home that's less expensive.
And that smells good.
Yeah, it was a fun little pop in. That was nice. It was quite busy, but we were
It's
still
also air
able to move
conditioned,
around.
and so we just
Yeah.
really hung out and cooled down. Maybe that's what colored our opinion so much.
It was great. So shall we now talk about Via Krupp?
Yeah. Well, yeah, we're in the neighborhood.
Okay, so if you're coming from the center of Capri, you're going to walk about 8 minutes if you stop absolutely nowhere for shopping. You will pass the Carthusi laboratory. Oh, and they claim, side note, that it is the oldest perfume laboratory in the world. No, not the oldest. My goodness, sorry. The smallest perfume laboratory in the world.
Interesting. Slightly different, but
Yes,
interesting.
Yes, sorry. And I say they claim because these days I think a lot of small businesses make their own.
Yeah, right?
So I'm not sure what that means. But they claim that.
Yeah, that seems... I'm not doubting them, but that maybe it's like of a certain size of perfume company, because there's definitely people like using a home still to make perfume, I feel like.
Yes. But fun nonetheless.
Very fun
And it does look
nonetheless.
quite small. So you'll pass that first, and then you'll pass the Gardens of Augustus, and if you keep going, you will get to Via Krupp. So shall we talk a little bit about Friedrich Alfred Krupp first, or should we talk about what you're going to see?
I think we should talk about what you're going to see.
Okay.
Because it's quite... For a road, it's quite evocative because you do have a view of it from the Gardens of Augustus. If you were looking down over Marina Piccola, you see this beautiful hairpin turn, bending, winding road carved basically into the side of the, carved and then paved into the side of the rock wall of Capri.
Yes. And so if you choose to take this road, it is only a footpath, but like Nathaniel said, it is paved, it is maintained. I would say it's a hike physically, but it's not like you're hiking on a mountain because it's paved and lovely. And it connects the Gardens of Augustus and that whole area down to the Marina Piccola. And that is a roughly 100-meter cliff area that is 328 feet. And it, like Nathaniel said, it has a bunch of switchbacks. And it takes, if you're going from the Gardens of Augustus in that area down to the Marina Piccola, it's going to take about 30 minutes to walk it.
And then coming back up, it's like an hour and a half. Yeah. No, I'm kidding. But it is up. It is just uphill.
It is, yeah. We took a different walk the other day we were in Basilicata, and the guy we talked to said, oh, it takes 20 or 30 minutes to get up there. It did. It took us an hour and a half, I think.
And it was it was 115 meters. This is about 100 meters. So it's a similar variation in height. And the path we took was also very similar, paved, smooth, very easy to walk. But at a certain point, it's just like, I've just been going up for a minute.
Just keep on going up. And I do want to mention that there's not a lot of shade on Via Krupp. At a certain point, I think near the bottom, it gets shady. But most of it is unshaded. So in the summertime, it's going to be hot.
It's also on the south side of Capri, but it's kind of also more or less on and towards the west as well, more southwest than anything else. And I mention that because if you're going to hike it or walk it, do so in the early part of the day before the sun has crested the top of Capri. Once it has basically noon and afterwards, it gets really toasty and everything over there starts to bake. You can feel it. I mean, we walked just in the first 5 feet of Via Krupp. We were thinking, oh, we'll walk the whole thing.
Right.
But just literally entering it from this sort of shaded walkway of near Carthusia, near the Gardens of Augustus, and then into Via Krupp, it's 20-something degree temperature change. It's enormous feeling, and you already feel like you're in an oven. So that feeling continues all the way down and then back up. So you can, take a little plunge into the Marina Piccola. There is a free beach down there, but it is a commitment to get back up, unless you just want to rent a boat to take you back around to Marina Grande to just bring you back to the funicular, because it is
I wonder if
difficult.
you can get a taxi from down there.
You actually might be able to.
So if you want to walk down and then not come back up.
There may be a road down there because there's a lot of Marina Piccola is quite established and there's a lot of houses and stuff. So I imagine they have at least a road down there.
I would think so too. And one more note, if you are wanting to go, so that when we say around Giardino, the Garden of Augustus, that road, just in case you're looking it up on any sort of maps, is called Via Matteotti, and then that goes into Via Krupp. And then if you're walking down Via Krupp to the Marina Piccola, or the beach down there, at a certain point, Via Krupp will it will end at a main road with cars. So that is the Via Marina Piccola, and then you'll take that road down all the way to the beach.
Okay. And you can get a taxi, it looks like. There's a road via Marina Piccola that goes all the way down there because there's also a number of fairly large hotels on the way down and then near there. But it does end at a beach, and part of the beach is a private, like a Lido beach, so you have to pay to be there. The other part is free. You can see it actually from the water if you do a little tour around the island. There's a pretty clear delineation between, those are all the chairs and umbrellas for Lido, and that is just the wild amount of people who are just jumping off rocks into the water.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's worth it. If it just coming back up is a bit of a could be a bit of a hike if you're not gonna take a taxi. And again, that should probably be done before noon because then it gets in the summer. Conversely, I think actually in the winter it'd be lovely in the afternoon because it's nice and sunny.
Yeah, and you can work up a sweat and be nice and warm by the time you get to the top.
To go swimming.
Yeah.
Well, to the bottom to go swimming, I guess.
Do we want to talk ever so briefly about Friedrich Alfred Krupp?
You know what? Yeah, why not? This will be interesting.
So you might be asking, why in the world is this long behind, switchback, twisty-turny path even there?
Especially when there's already a different road that went down to Marina Piccola.
Exactly. And it was because Mr. Krupp, in the late 19th century, he's German, he started spending a lot of time on Capri, and he was staying at the Grand Hotel Quisisana. Is that how you would say that?
Or Quisisana.
Quisisana. And I think now it is physically the largest hotel on Capri. And that is near the Certosa, which we will talk about on Friday, and also near this whole area we've talked about today, the Gardens of Augustus and that little area around there. So he was staying at the Grand Hotel Quisisana, but he had 2 yachts and also a marine biology research vessel. And he had to get from his yachts to his hotel. So he commissioned an engineer to create this pathway that, like I said, connects the Marina Piccola to that area, which is a 100-meter cliff that would have been in that specific spot impassable. And he's like, but I just really want to quickly get to my hotel, please, from my yacht. So would you just make me a little path, please,
He was also one of the wealthiest people in the world at the time and the wealthiest German at the time. Mm-hmm. Just to give you a little perspective, this is not some guy who's like, what is it, like $20? We're in Italy. It was quite, well, he has yachts, but still.
Yes, I imagine it was a fortune to create that, to engineer that, and then create it in the early...
It's the late 1800s, I think.
Late 1800s, exactly. And you found out some interesting information about him. Do you want to add anything?
Only that it's just interesting that he actually came from his father started Krupp Industries, and it was a manufactured weapons and steel and all sorts of things. I think actually the steel that Krupp Industries created is used to cap the top of the Chrysler building in America. It's used in the railroads. It's used in weapons, mostly weapons though, tons of weapons. And it's fascinating only because he actually, the child, Friedrich Alfred Krupp, had no real interest in being part of his father's company and was on the verge of being sort of written out of his father's company when his father died and he inherited the company. In fact, he wanted to be a marine biologist first and pursued it for a bit before, I guess, trying to kill people. And then after he made some success as a businessman, became very wealthy, he's like, I'm going to kind of quasi-retire, still going to do the whole weapons thing, but also I want a marine research vessel and I want to go explore. And so he did. There was a famous biologist at the time living in Naples whose name escapes me. But he basically was like, please, can I work with you? And the guy's like, no, I don't take amateurs. But then he's like, well, you are like a billionaire. I should probably say yes. This would be weird if I said no. So he took him on sort of as an apprentice. But to be fair to Krupp, he did find 33 new species of marine animals and cataloged them properly. Not just like, oh yeah, this is a totally different one than this other one that looks identical.
And were all of those in Capri, or that was just in his lifetime?
Around the sea of Capri and Naples, yeah.
Wow.
So he did technically add to it.
He did put in the work.
He put in the work, and he did, it's kind of interesting that it wasn't just a pet project that he thought he could, pick up and be like, I'm going to be amazing at this. But it was something he had genuine enjoyment of, which is adds a fun bit of dynamic to this person.
Yeah.
Who also, what is the other reason he built this little Via Krupp?
To get down to the grotto?
Yes.
Was that your? I think there are several. I want to preface this by saying there are so many fascinating people who have lived on Capri, who have made a life there, who went there from outside the island and joined this artistic community. And I think we need to do some not safe for work episodes on some of these people.
He'd be one of them.
He would be one of them. There is some scandal in his past. There are some actions that are good, some actions that are bad.
We should do a not safe for work series, actually.
We definitely should. I'm being inspired by a lot of the people who lived on Capri. But one interesting little tidbit is that he had other reasons to get back and forth down to this little beach area. There was a grotto there where he had parties.
Yes, naked parties.
Naked parties.
I think we're allowed to say that on a safe for work episode without getting dinged on the the automatic thing that scans our episode for not safe for work words.
Mm-hmm. And there is more on that, I think, in a different episode.
So yes, it was a multi-use road, a multi-use private road, both to his yachts and to his naked parties in a cave.
Could you imagine, though, either one, going to your yacht, or to your biology vessel, you're having a day, you're having a lovely time. You go down to the grotto, you have a party with your friends. But then you have to haul yourself back up.
Is insane.
And then you're just sweaty and gross.
But at least you're staying at
At least you're staying at a fancy hotel. Yeah. I'm just thinking that's not the nicest way to end your lovely, relaxing day.
This is true. Interesting about Via Krupp, though, on a more practical note, for some of the research for Friday's episode, I was looking at old travel documents and Time Out magazine, and one was Time Out Naples, and they had actually mentioned that Via Krupp was pretty much closed year-round because of rock falls. Since the 60s, I believe, 1967, it's been pretty much constantly closed because of rock falls.
Interesting.
Coming off the rock wall of Capri. And so the fact it's open now is kind of really spectacular because it has not been open for very long. It's only been open for 8 years, 10 years, something like that, consistently.
Right.
Sort of like the Walk of the Lovers between Rio Maggiore and that next town on the Cinque Terre coast that I can never remember, but it's a similar walk. That one's much easier. It's flat and paved and flat, remarkably. But no, it's very cool because if you had gone to Capri some 20 years ago, you actually might not have been able to even take this road. It would have been, predominantly abandoned. So it's only recently that it's been usable.
Yeah, absolutely. We did not walk it this time. Just like Nathaniel said, it was just way too hot. But when we go back, when it's a little bit cooler, I would absolutely love to.
For shoulder season travelers, I would highly recommend it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that has been Via Krupp.
Yeah, Via Krupp and the Gardens of Augustus, the Carthusian Laboratory, and lots of fun little things over on the south side of the island.
With a potential not safe for work episode coming out in theaters near you soon.
Through your podcast platform of choice.
Yes.
And on Friday, we are going to talk about the monastery, which is also in the same little area, the Certosa of, is it San
Giacomo.
Giacomo.
Or St. James. And that'll be on Friday.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear about it.
And thank you all so much for listening.
Thanks for listening. Tanti abbracci.